What made you start the agency?
There was no one in Canada doing the kinds of books that I love to read and love to edit. Nobody was really looking at commercial fiction, and I think there was a feeling that it was a little bit infra-dig, that it was formulaic. And so when I started, I made a point that I was only looking for commercial fiction, and I wasn't really looking for literary fiction. I did do some literary fiction, and I did quite a lot of non-fiction then. But over the years, I've been able to do what I really wanted to do, which is a kind of a hybrid of literary fiction and commercial fiction. I think that's what this agency is known for, that you do and I do, is a kind of very well-written story that has a very strong plot. Plot's always been really important to me. And also, being an agent rather than an editor, you get to paddle your own canoe, you get to decide your own destiny. You're not worried about what's happening in the industry. You just forge ahead, do your own thing, and try and give people the kinds of books they want to read.
I know I get asked a lot, oh, ebooks must affect you negatively, whereas I don't necessarily feel that they do from my perspective. They
don't. They really don't, and I'm a big fan of them, and that's how I read myself. I read ebooks. I find them very easy to read. If you go away on vacation, you've got an entire library with you. You don't have to carry lots of books in your bag, which is what I always used to have to do. I think ebooks are very good for the marketplace. I think that it allows people to publish material that publishers are not necessarily interested in publishing themselves until these kinds of books do very well. There have been an awful lot of ebooks that have been picked up by publishers after they became ebook sensations when they were self-published. I imagine that the people who published those books did try and get a literary agent and did try and get a publisher to be interested in their books before they did them themselves, and didn't succeed because publishers tend to be looking for very concrete things. And to be honest, publishers don't always want to take a really big flyer on something. Because very often big flyers don't work. So I think this allows someone who's doing something interesting to get it out there, do it themselves. If they work in the marketplace, they will get an agent coming after them, they will get a publisher coming after them. From my point of view, I have no problems with looking at material that's been previously self-published. I think it can be very interesting material. And I also have no problems with authors wishing to do e-shorts and e-novellas during the time that they're doing conventional books as well. I think that can only help. I mean, let's talk a little bit about our pet peeves in terms of query letters, because I think that very often people feel when they're querying a literary agent that they have to give us a wonderful financial reason for taking them on. I mean, I've had so many queries that read like direct mail advertising for big bucks in real estate. You know, this is going to be your new blockbuster. And that's the sort of thing that makes me hit delete immediately. And the other thing that makes me hit delete immediately is if somebody writes, if it's addressed to me or dear agent, and they start, what if such and such, or imagine such and such. I'm not interested in imagining or the what ifing. I want to know about the author, and then I want a fairly sober kind of synopsis of what they're doing. We have to think about a client's career, not just the next book, and I think that when I first opened, people just thought book to book. Also, I think we all have to be more proactive. One of the things that we've done is bring in somebody to handle publicity and promotion from the point of view of the agency. We don't any longer just hand things over to the publisher. I think we have to become really involved in every step of the process, because the landscape has changed and everything is constantly changing. The way, let's say, the internet was used 5 years ago is not the same as the way it's being used today, and it won't be the same as the way it's used in 2 years or even next year, because that particular part of it is moving so quickly. I think we have to be very nimble, and I think we have to be aware that as agents, we have as much responsibility for how our authors are published after we've done the contract as we have for what happens to our authors before we've done the contract. It's not just getting the name on the contract anymore. We have to look at what happens afterwards. Books have a long tail. We have to make sure we're riding that tail all the way through.